Nobody dared touch this legendary cruiser. I claimed it for 4 credits before they stopped me. Jalen Miro had never been a hero. At least, not in anyone else's eyes. To the citizens of Andros 5, he was just another scavenger, darting between the dusty lanes of the spaceport, trading scrap gadgets for credits, and keeping a careful eye on the bigger, stronger, and often meaner aliens who ruled the marketplace. Most days, Jalen's life was about as exciting as counting bolts in an abandoned workshop. But he had something no one else seemed to notice: a human mind that loved puzzles, patterns, and the thrill of possibilities others could not see. It was on one such dull morning that Jalen's life took a sharp turn toward adventure. The air was thick with the metallic scent of fuel and machinery, punctuated by the low hum of interstellar freighters docking and departing. Jalen was tinkering with the small energy cell, a gift from a trader who had no use for it, when he overheard a conversation that would change everything. "Did you hear?" "The Eternus is up for claim," said a tall, four-armed alien with purple skin, leaning casually against a hover cart. "But only for those brave enough or foolish enough to take it." Jalen froze, his fingers tightening around the energy cell. Pressed out. The Eternus? That name was whispered across the galaxy like a ghost story told by old captains. The legendary cruiser had been abandoned decades ago, and no one dared touch it. Entire fleets had kept their distance, claiming it was cursed, malfunctioning, or simply too complex for anyone to control. Some said it was the greatest ship ever built, capable of holding an entire planetary fleet at bay. Others claimed it was haunted by the ghosts of its original crew. Russ. Either way, it had become a symbol. Untouchable, mysterious, and utterly avoided. Jalen's heart raced. Most beings would have shrugged, dismissing it as another rumor, but humans had a reputation, well earned, for daring where caution ruled. And Jalen, human to the core, felt a spark of excitement. While the alien traders muttered about danger and superstition, he began plotting.
"Where is it being auctioned?" he asked casually, hiding the sharp edge of his curiosity behind a grin.
The purple-skinned alien chuckled. "Outskirts of the neutral sector." "Nobody's going there."
"You'll see a lot of empty space."
"And a lot of empty brains if you think you can handle it." Jalen nodded as if he understood the risk. Inside, he was already calculating distance, travel time, potential competitors, and the cost. 4 credits. That was all it would take. 4 tiny credits to claim the greatest cruiser ever built. A laughable price, but only if you had the skill to use it. Over the next few hours, Jalen packed lightly. He didn't need much: a toolkit, his personal translator, a small energy pack, and his best navigational console. Every item was chosen with purpose. And then, with a thrill that made his chest tighten, he boarded his small freighter and set course for the neutral sector. The journey was uneventful, but Jalen's mind was anything but calm. He thought of the stories he had heard growing up: alien fleets circling the Eternus, pilots attempting to board it only to vanish mysteriously. The cruiser was supposed to be untouchable, but that only made it more tempting. Humans, he thought with a grin, never resisted temptation if the reward was worth it. By the time he arrived, the sun of the neutral sector had dipped below the horizon of an asteroid belt, painting the floating rocks in soft golden light. Breath. And there it was, the Eternus. Even from a distance, it was impossible to ignore. The cruiser was massive, with sleek lines that spoke of engineering genius and decades of maintenance left untouched. Dust and cosmic particles clung to its hull, shimmering like frost in the fading light. Jalen's mouth went dry with awe.
Other ships had come too, a scattering of alien vessels hovering uncertainly around the edges.
But none of them approached. The fear that surrounded the Eternus was palpable. Jalen noticed the tension in their crews, fingers twitching over controls, eyes darting to the cruiser, voices hushed in anxious whispers. They were all waiting for someone else to make the first move. "Cowards," Jalen muttered under his breath, and he smiled. Humans might be small and fragile compared to these aliens, but they were not ruled by fear. And Jalen had never liked following the crowd anyway. The auction itself was strange. There was no grand hall, no pomp, no official announcements. A small hollow sign floated nearby, blinking softly. "Claim the Eternus, 4 credits minimum." A timer ticked down quietly, counting the minutes until the claim closed. Jalen didn't hesitate. P. He entered the code to transfer his 4 credits. That was it. A blink, a soft chime, and the system acknowledged him. The Eternus was his. Almost immediately, a commotion erupted. Place. Alien captains shouted in disbelief, gesturing wildly. "That human," operation. "That tiny, fragile human thinks he can command the Eternus." One screeched. "Stop him. He is not worthy." Jalen raised his hands in mock surrender, then tapped the console in front of him. Slowly, the cruiser responded. Round. Lights flickered to life across its hull. Small thrusters activated, spinning the ship slightly in the void, demonstrating that someone had control. Not brute force, not intimidation. Control. Human ingenuity. Breaths. Aliens froze. Some cursed. Some stared in stunned silence. And some, Jalen noticed with satisfaction, leaned back in their seats, respect and a hint of fear growing in their eyes. For Jalen, this was only the beginning. He floated in zero gravity through the cruiser's airlock, examining its corridors. The interior was massive, even more complex than he had imagined. Panels lined the walls, some humming with dormant power, others dark with long disuse. The ship smelled of metal and age, a sharp tang that made his stomach flip in excitement. As he explored, Jalen realized just how alone he was. Every system he activated responded not with pre-programmed commands, but with puzzles, systems designed to test the skill of the operator. The aliens had assumed that this was too complex for any living being to solve. But humans thrived on challenge. Jalen worked quickly, his fingers dancing across panels and touchscreens, rerouting power, stabilizing thrusters, and mapping navigation controls. Every move was calculated, every decision deliberate. And slowly, the ship began to hum with life. From outside, the aliens watched, whispering among themselves. "How?" one of them asked, barely able to form the question. Another shook his head. "Impossible. Only a human would even think to try this." The irony was delicious. For centuries, humans had been underestimated, dismissed as reckless or weak. And yet here Jalen was, claiming what no one else dared approach. It wasn't size, strength, or firepower. It was thinking differently, seeing opportunity, and daring to act when everyone else hesitated. Hours passed. Jalen moved from control room to engineering bay, piecing together the cruiser's systems like a giant, deadly puzzle. He paused only to eat a small ration and sip recycled water. Sleep was unnecessary when the mind was fully alive, alert, and solving the impossible. Finally, he reached the bridge. From here, the cruiser was almost overwhelming. A galaxy of controls, displays, and holomaps filled the space. Jalen's eyes gleamed. He could see the potential. Routes, asteroid fields, energy sources, and hidden systems the original designers had built but never intended anyone to fully activate.
He tapped the main console. Slowly, carefully, He initiated the startup sequence.
Lights flared, thrusters aligned, and the Eternus seemed to take a deep, cosmic breath. He felt a thrill that had nothing to do with danger and everything to do with achievement. Benny had done what no one else could, and it had only cost him 4 credits. Best. As he leaned back in the captain's chair, Jalen allowed himself a small laugh. "Let's see who else dares show up," he whispered, because he knew the truth. The galaxy had underestimated humans once again. And once again, that mistake would be theirs to regret. Bright. Far away in the void surrounding the neutral sector, alien ships began to maneuver. They had not given up. They never would. But for now, Jalen had claimed the Eternus. And for the first time in decades, the legendary cruiser was under human command. And that, he thought with a smile, was only the beginning. Jalen Miro had thought claiming the Eternus would be the hard part. He had been wrong. As soon as he settled into the captain's chair, the reality of his situation hit him. Around the cruiser, alien ships had begun to move. Small at first, probing cautiously, testing his reactions. Then larger vessels appeared, engines humming with power, their crews glaring across the void at the human who dared touch what they feared. Jalen didn't panic. He had been underestimated before, and he knew the pattern. Aliens relied on strength and intimidation, but humans relied on ingenuity.
He had 4 credits, a small freighter's worth of supplies, and a mind that refused to see limits.
But that was enough. The first challenge came quickly. Break. A sleek silver alien scout hovered near the cruiser, scanning Jalen's ship with intense sensors. Its crew, 4 tall beings with blue skin and elongated eyes, gestured wildly at him. Jalen tapped the console, studying the readouts. He didn't recognize some of the technology, but he didn't need to. Systems always responded logically, even if designed by someone else. He smiled. Humans had a habit of finding the loophole. The scout fired a warning pulse. Nothing destructive, just a beam designed to disable ships that didn't belong. Jalen studied the path of the pulse and noticed a small interference in the cruiser's shields. A simple reroute of energy to a secondary shield array neutralized the beam. The aliens blinked, astonished. "You see, you don't need force," Jalen muttered aloud, tapping more controls. Just a little thought. From the command deck, he could see the other alien vessels adjusting. They were cautious now, waiting to see what he would do next. Humans were unpredictable, always a problem for species that relied on brute strength and strict protocol. Jalen decided to move. If the aliens expected him to stay still and be intimidated, they were wrong. He activated the cruiser's propulsion systems carefully, aligning it toward a cluster of asteroids nearby. The maneuver wasn't about escape, it was about sending a signal. The Eternus was not a prize to be feared. It was under his command. The alien captains exchanged worried glances. A human, small, seemingly fragile, was moving the legendary cruiser with precision. They had underestimated the value of intuition, quick thinking, and adaptability. Inside the Eternus, Jalen explored more systems. There were compartments that no scanner could read, hidden panels that required a combination of touch and logic to unlock. To an alien mind, these might have been impossible. But Jalen's fingers, light and deliberate, traced the panels, following patterns that made sense to a human brain. He discovered energy cores that had been dormant for decades, maps of stellar routes that could reduce interstellar travel time by months, and small defense protocols that activated in seconds. Each discovery was a victory, each solved puzzle a proof that humans could master what others feared. Hours passed. Jalen had managed to activate several critical systems, and the Eternus hummed with life. Outside, the alien ships were no closer, partly because they respected the distance, partly because they were still unsure what he was capable of. Then came the first real test, A massive alien cruiser, black and imposing, arrived and positioned itself across his path. Its commander, a hulking alien with multiple eyes, transmitted a message. Human. Leave the ship. This vessel is not yours. Abandon it before you regret your actions. Jalen smiled. He had expected this. Regret isn't part of my plan, he replied into the translator. But curiosity is. And I intend to explore every corner of this ship.
He began activating the cruiser's navigation systems, plotting a course through the asteroid cluster.
It was dangerous terrain, full of jagged rocks and gravitational anomalies. No one else had dared approach it. Humans saw opportunity where others saw danger. The black cruiser's commander hesitated. Do you know what you are doing? It asked. Not entirely, Jalen admitted. But that's how Discovery works. He navigated the Eternus through the asteroid field with precision, the ship twisting and turning like a living thing. Alien sensors couldn't match the instincts guiding his decisions. Every move demonstrated human adaptability. Small, agile thinking in a galaxy that prized size and firepower. By the time he exited the field, the alien cruiser had pulled back slightly, unsure whether to pursue or wait. Jalen took the opportunity to study the Eternus more closely. Its engines were old, but with minor recalibration, they could achieve speeds faster than many modern cruisers. Its shields could withstand attacks far stronger than anything Jalen had encountered, but only if managed correctly. And every system seemed to favor a mind willing to improvise, to try new approaches instead of following old instructions. Jalen realized he was not just commanding a ship, he was learning from it. The Eternus was like a puzzle, a partner. And the more he interacted with it, the more responsive it became.
But humans thrive under challenge, and Jalen knew this was only the beginning.
The alien fleets would not give up. They would attempt to outsmart, outmaneuver, and overwhelm him. He had to stay ahead. His first step was strategy. Dalen activated a series of holographic maps plotting nearby supply stations, asteroid paths, and potential allies who might offer information or resources. He identified weak points in the alien formation, areas where their ships could not navigate without risking collision or damage. And then he smiled. They think this is about firepower, he muttered. It's about thinking differently. He began sending subtle signals to test the aliens' reactions. Breath. Small decoys, energy pulses that mimicked movements, and silent messages that hinted at strategies they could not predict. The alien commanders responded with caution, often pulling back or hesitating, unsure whether they faced a trick or genuine skill. Hours turned into a full day. Jalen had managed to stabilize the cruiser, activate most of its core systems, and even map potential interstellar routes that could save years of travel. He had done all this alone, without a single ally, facing enemies who relied on fear and intimidation. The Eternus was alive, powerful, and under human control. By nightfall, Jalen took a moment to rest in the captain's chair. Outside the reinforced windows, the alien fleets lingered like shadows, curious but wary. Inside, the ship hummed with quiet energy, waiting for its next command. For the first time, Jalen allowed himself a moment of pride. He had not just claimed a ship, he had claimed an opportunity, a chance to show the galaxy what humans could do. Strength was not about size, firepower, or dominance. It was about creativity, courage, and the willingness to take risks others avoided. And humans. The desk. Humans were experts at that. He looked at the control panels, the glowing displays, and the holographic star charts. Every system had secrets, every corner a challenge. He would not have all the answers yet, but he had the curiosity, the skill, and the determination to find them. Let them watch, he whispered. They think this is about the ship. They don't know it's about me. And as the alien fleets drifted uncertainly in the void, Jalen Miro smiled. Humans were underestimated again, and once again that mistake would be theirs to regret, because tomorrow he planned to push the Eternus even further. Jalen Miro had spent a full cycle aboard the Eternus, and the ship had begun to feel alive under his hands. Every control panel, every flickering console, every dormant system seemed to respond differently to him than it would to any other being. Best, it was as if the ship knew he was human, and perhaps it respected that. The alien fleet still lingered outside the neutral sector, but their caution was evident. Jalen could see them on the star maps, drifting in formation, sending occasional energy pulses to test his defenses. They had not attacked yet, and Jalen was determined to keep it that way. His advantage was subtle, intellectual, and entirely human. Inside the cruiser, he explored areas no one else had touched in decades. Maintenance corridors twisted like a maze, some blocked by panels requiring complex sequences of logic. Where aliens saw obstacles, Jalen saw patterns. He traced circuits, rerouted energy, and activated hidden sections of the ship. Slowly, the Eternus awoke, responding to his touch. The first major breakthrough came in the engineering bay. Deep within the ship's core, he discovered an energy matrix that had been dormant since the cruiser was built. No alien crew had ever accessed it. With careful calibration, he redirected the matrix to power the shields and propulsion systems simultaneously. A minor adjustment, but enough to demonstrate that the Eternus could react faster than any alien vessel in the area. Jalen couldn't help but grin. "See, it's not just a ship," he muttered. "It's a puzzle waiting for a human mind." As he worked, he began testing the navigation systems. The Eternus had routes mapped across the galaxy. Shortcuts, hidden lanes, and energy currents that could cut weeks from interstellar travel. The information was detailed, precise, and waiting for someone clever enough to read it. Jalen studied the maps, noting potential dangers and opportunities. Asteroid belts, gravitational anomalies, even black holes were no longer threats. They were tools. With the right approach, he could use them to maneuver past alien patrols, explore new sectors, and expand human influence in regions that others considered too dangerous. But the aliens were not idle. One by one, their fleets adjusted positions, trying to outmaneuver him. They sent scouts, probes, and small strike teams, but Jalen had anticipated this. He activated the ship's minor defense protocols. Automated energy fields, sensor disruptors, and optical decoys. Every measure was non-lethal, but effective. Aliens approaching too closely found themselves turned aside or confused by phantom signals. It was a chess game in the void, and Jalen was winning. Perhation. Humans were underestimated for their creativity and adaptability, and he intended to exploit that. Then came the next challenge. The Eternus's internal systems began communicating with him in unexpected ways. The holographic displays flickered to life, projecting sequences that seemed almost like riddles. Patterns of energy, coordinates, and instructions flashed across the screens. At first, Jalen thought it was a glitch, but he quickly realized it was the ship testing him.
Every human learns by trial, error, and intuition.
And Jalen thrived on it. He followed the sequences, inputting adjustments based on observation, instinct, and careful reasoning. Slowly, systems he had never seen before began to respond. Engines became more efficient. Shields reacted instantaneously to external scans. Navigation plotted courses that even the most advanced alien computers would have struggled to calculate. The Eternus was not just a ship. It was a reflection of its operator. And Jalen Miro was proving that humans, when underestimated, could achieve the impossible. Hours turned into cycles. Jalen took only brief rests, using the downtime to analyze energy output, map unexplored sectors, and understand the alien fleets outside. Every pulse, every movement, Every pattern told a story. Humans could see connections that aliens missed because humans didn't rely solely on protocol. They relied on observation, intuition, and imagination. His first encounter with an alien challenge happened during one of these cycles. A scouting fleet approached under the guise of a peaceful envoy. Jalen could sense the deception. Their messages were carefully worded, offering negotiation while signaling threat. Most humans would have panicked. Most aliens would have tried to attack immediately. Jalen smiled. He initiated a small sequence, activating a holographic decoy that mirrored the cruiser's signature. The scout fleet focused on the decoy, attempting to scan and track it. Meanwhile, the real Eternus moved quietly through a hidden asteroid corridor. The aliens were none the wiser. They were chasing ghosts, while Jalen and his ship slipped farther into the neutral sector. "Humans think differently," Jalen whispered, watching the scout fleet disappear behind the rocks. "We don't need force to win." But the biggest discovery was yet to come. Deep within the cruiser's command core, Jalen found a system designed to enhance the operator's connection to the ship. He didn't fully understand it at first. It was like a network of neural interfaces, translating thought into ship response. Humans had long relied on intuition, creativity, and adaptability. This system amplified those strengths. With careful experimentation, Jalen synced with it. The effect was immediate. He could anticipate minor fluctuations in the cruiser's energy flow, predict asteroid movements, and maneuver with almost preternatural accuracy. It was not magic. It was human ingenuity enhanced by technology. Outside, the alien fleets noticed, but their formations faltered. Their sensors strained to keep up. Every maneuver Jalen made was unexpected. Every adjustment seemed impossible, and every time they tried to anticipate him, he was already ahead. It was the first real proof that humans, underestimated and overlooked, could master what others considered impossible. The Eternus was not just a cruiser. It was a stage for human brilliance. But Jalen knew he could not rest. Alien fleets were patient, and curiosity alone would not protect him. Disposé, he needed allies, or at least intelligence, to stay ahead. He accessed a long-dormant communication system on the cruiser, sending subtle signals to neutral traders and distant human colonies. Nothing explicit, just breadcrumbs, information that only humans would understand. Within cycles, he received responses, offers of supplies, small star charts, and coded messages indicating alien patrol patterns. Even from isolation, humans had a network. Jalen smiled again. Adaptability, intellect, and curiosity. These were his greatest weapons, and they were human. Plotted. As he plotted his next move, a sudden alert flashed across the bridge. A previously hidden section of the cruiser had activated unexpectedly. The energy signature was minor, but it was enough to pique Jalen's attention. He moved quickly, navigating corridors that even he had only partially explored. At the heart of the newly activated section, he found a storage bay filled with alien artifacts, some technological, some scientific. Devices that could map star systems, harness energy from cosmic radiation, and manipulate gravity. All untouched for decades. Bask. Humans had always excelled at turning the impossible into the possible, and now all of this was within reach. Hours passed as Jalen cataloged, experimented, and tested the artifacts. Each success reinforced a truth he had always known. Humans were underestimated not because they were weak, but because no one expected them to think differently. By the end of the cycle, the Eternus was no longer a mysterious dormant cruiser. It was a fully operational, responsive ship, guided by a human mind that saw opportunity in every corner, in every system, in every challenge. Alien fleets had learned caution, but they had no way to predict Jalen's next move. And that was exactly how he liked it. He leaned back in the captain's chair, exhausted but exhilarated. Tomorrow, he planned to explore even further, pushing the boundaries of what the Eternus could do. Every system he activated, every puzzle he solved, was a statement. Humans were capable of greatness, ingenuity, and brilliance that no alien mind had anticipated. And as the stars stretched endlessly outside the cruiser's windows, Jalen Miro smiled. The galaxy might still underestimate humans, but soon it would have no choice but to notice, because he was just getting started. Jalen Miro had spent cycles mastering the Eternus. He had activated systems long dormant, decoded the ship's hidden compartments, and explored every corridor that even alien engineers had feared to touch. Yet he knew the greatest challenge was still ahead, proving to the galaxy that humans were more than underestimated pawns in a cosmic game. The alien fleets that had lingered outside the neutral sector were restless. They had sent scouts, probes, and minor threats, all of which Jalen had skillfully avoided or neutralized. But now the Black Cruiser, the hulking flagship of the alien admiral, was moving into position. Breaths. Its commander had clearly decided, enough caution, now it was time to intimidate. Jalen studied the star charts. The Black Cruiser was attempting to block him from reaching open space, relying on size, reputation, and sheer intimidation. Most beings would have frozen. Humans rarely followed rules. They made their own. Jalen saw the opportunity immediately. The asteroid corridor. Tight, dangerous, and nearly impossible to navigate, but perfect for a human mind that thrived on pattern recognition and instinct. He activated the Eternus's engines, pushing the ship to life. Lights flickered across the hull as systems aligned. The ship responded faster than anyone outside could predict. Jalen's hands danced across the control panels, routing energy, stabilizing thrusters, and preparing the defensive systems. Outside, the alien flagship advanced. Its crew assumed the human was trapped, scared, and weak. But Jalen only smiled. "Let's see who underestimates humans now," he whispered. The first step was subtle. He activated the ship's optical decoys, scattering holographic versions of the Eternus across the asteroid corridor. Sensors on the alien flagship detected multiple targets. Confused, their crew debated which one was real. Meanwhile, Jalen guided the actual cruiser through the narrow gaps between massive rocks. Each movement was precise, each decision instantaneous. The flagship fired a warning pulse, non-lethal, but enough to disable a less prepared ship. Jalen rerouted energy through a hidden shield array he had discovered during his exploration. The pulse dissipated harmlessly. Perhaps alien crew members stared in disbelief. "Impossible," one muttered, eyes wide. Jalen laughed quietly. "Not impossible. Just human." He maneuvered through the corridor, weaving around jagged asteroids and gravitational anomalies. Every obstacle was a test, every misstep a potential disaster. But the Eternus responded to him like a living partner, amplifying his intuition, predicting his choices, and moving as though it shared his mind. By the time he emerged on the other side, the alien flagship had lost sight of the real cruiser. Their sensors continued to scan the decoys, leaving them blind to the human's true position. Jalen tapped a control panel, projecting holographic star maps to plan his next move. Humans had long relied on ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability. Now, he was proving it on a galactic scale. The alien fleets did not retreat. They were cautious, but they were not defeated. Jalen knew the next challenge would test his skills, patience, and intellect even further.
He accessed the Eternus's long-range communication arrays, sending subtle, coded messages to neutral parties and distant human colonies.
Space, Offers of supplies, intelligence about alien movements, and minor star charts arrived in response. Even in isolation, humans maintained networks of ingenuity and resourcefulness. But the true test came when the aliens attempted a direct approach. Small strike teams appeared, moving toward the Eternus under the assumption that they could intimidate or trap him. Jalen had anticipated this. He activated the ship's minor defense systems. Non-lethal but highly effective. Energy fields disrupted sensors. Optical decoys misled their targeting, and minor propulsion adjustments allowed him to slip past the teams with ease. Unable to match the combination of intuition, creativity, and adaptability that Jalen brought to the cruiser. Humans were underestimated for a reason. Aliens assumed fear or brute force would define every encounter, but humans thrived in challenges others could not predict. Jalen smiled, leaning back in the captain's chair. The cruiser responded to his thoughts, aligning shields, engines, and sensors perfectly. It was as if the Eternus itself recognized that its new human captain was extraordinary, not stronger in size, but sharper in mind. He decided to demonstrate his full command. The Eternus was capable of maneuvers that no other ship could perform. He activated the energy matrix he had discovered earlier, redirecting power simultaneously to shields, engines, and navigation. The ship moved like a single organism, dodging the asteroid debris, twisting and accelerating in ways that seemed impossible. The alien fleets watched in awe. A human was commanding the legendary cruiser, executing maneuvers they had believed impossible. Every calculation, every adjustment, every decision displayed human brilliance in a way that brute force could never replicate. For the first time, the galaxy saw clearly humans were capable of extraordinary things. Strength was not always about firepower. Courage was not always about confrontation. It was about ingenuity, adaptability, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. Jalen continued to explore the cruiser's hidden systems. He activated sections containing alien scientific artifacts, long-abandoned energy cores, and advanced navigational tools. Using these, he demonstrated capabilities that left even the most experienced alien captains stunned. The Eternus could now chart routes through previously inaccessible regions, harness energy from cosmic radiation, and deploy sensor arrays that made detection almost impossible. It was more than a demonstration. It was a statement. Humans could thrive where others faltered. They could solve problems no one else could imagine. They could turn fear into opportunity. By the end of the cycle, the alien fleets had retreated to the outer edges of the sector, still wary, still cautious. Jalen had proven that the Eternus was not just a ship, it was a symbol. And humans, underestimated and dismissed, were worthy of legend. He paused in the captain's chair, surveying the ship he had claimed for a mere 4 credits. The hum of its engines, the glow of its panels, and the energy flowing through its systems felt almost alive. Jalen realized something profound. He had not only claimed the cruiser, he had unlocked its potential. And in doing so, he had unlocked a part of human potential that the galaxy had never truly seen. The Eternus hummed around him, responding to subtle commands, adjusting to his movements, almost as if it understood the importance of the moment. Jalen knew that this was just the beginning.
With this ship, humans could explore regions long abandoned, uncover secrets long hidden, and assert a presence in the galaxy that others could no longer ignore.
He activated the long-range navigation array and plotted a course beyond the neutral sector. No one could follow him yet. The alien fleets lacked the skill, the intuition, and the creativity required to match his maneuvers. The Eternus glowed with energy as it prepared for the journey, a living testament to human ingenuity. As the stars streaked past the viewport, Jalen allowed himself a smile. We had proven it, not with violence, not with intimidation, but with thinking, skill, and courage. Humans were underestimated, yes, but never unworthy. And somewhere in the depths of space, the galaxy was beginning to notice. Jalen tapped the control panel lightly, sending the cruiser into full activation mode. Secret systems and advanced technology waited to be explored. Every challenge ahead was an opportunity. Every obstacle, a puzzle. Humans were built for this, not the largest, not the strongest, but the cleverest. And as the Eternus surged forward into the unknown, Jalen Miro felt a surge of triumph unlike anything he had ever known. The cruiser was legendary, yes, but it was human ingenuity that made it truly unstoppable. The galaxy might have doubted humans. It might have dismissed them. It might even have feared them. But now, there could be no doubt. Humans could claim the impossible, master the unknown, and achieve greatness in ways the universe had never expected.
Jalen leaned back, fingers lightly brushing the control panels.
The Eternus hummed in approval. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, full of potential. And somewhere, far across the void, alien commanders reconsidered everything they thought they knew about humans. For the first time in decades, a human had claimed the legendary cruiser. And the galaxy would never forget it.